Patients out. In the back. Then we contact us. Have to come out and get. Gosh, runs. Yeah. Let's do it. I have my. Yeah, tell me, sure, I think it's application. I think the comment will. Okay, no problem.
Just do one of these. Finger up, I'll know what that means.
Be able to track it. Hi. Are we ready? All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's Wednesday, August 28th at 5:30, and I would like to call the Personnel and Finance Committee to order. Clerk Torado, I believe you have some comments to make before the meeting in reference to our viewers online.
Good evening, members of the public. For audio quality, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default to maintain good audio quality for council and yourselves. If you would like to be called on during the meeting to provide public input, please insert the following into the chat and you will be called on during the relevant time for public speaking. My name is full name and I live at address, and I would like to speak for or against the agenda item. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Please be sure to unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks.
Thank you so much. Would you mind calling the roll for the committee, please?
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Present.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner, Councilmember Lee,
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember White,
Present.
Citizen Member Angela Smith, Citizen Member Ross Deal. Six present.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So this evening, we will begin the hearing budget presentation tonight for Venues, Parks, and Arts. This is the third of 11 meetings for the 2025 budget. The next meeting is Wednesday, September the 4th at 5:30 p.m. and it is located here in the council chambers. You can also find additional information found on the city's website, Build the Budget. That has information about additional locations and dates for the upcoming budget meetings can be found here, as well as a survey that can be taken that is open until September the 13th. You can also visit the South Bend Common Council website that has information and links to the 2025 budget, as well as a link to submit questions for each budget meeting. The council here cannot increase the budget, fund programs, or create expense items for any city projects, but we can decrease the budget. After the presentation has been made today, I request that you have 2 questions that may be asked by council members and the public. And that's usually because of time restraints that we have. If time permits, you can certainly ask additional questions. Those questions will be cataloged by Clerk Tirado. We also have the website where you can go and ask additional questions, and those will all be put in the budget folder. I ask you all to please keep your questions germane to the presentation and to maintain a decorum that is respectful to everyone. And a maximum of 5 minutes is allotted for each questionnaire. So I see Mr. Jordan Gathers here if you would like to come up and do your presentation.
All right, good evening, members of the council. Jordan Gathers, Interim Executive Director, Venues, Parks, and Arts. I would ask that if we could post the presentation. Thank you. All right, it seems like we're good to go. I'll probably restart here just for clarity and for the record. Jordan Gathers, Interim Executive Director, Venues, Parks, and Arts with offices at 301 South St. Louis. Here, if you can move to the next slide. Honored to be here for the budget hearing for the Department of Venue, Parks, and Arts. Again, I like to call the department the heart and soul of our city. As it relates to programs, projects, and events that we do with the staff that we have, many of which who are here in support and behind me tonight. They do a phenomenal job and are dedicated to ensuring that we continue the beauty of South Bend and continuing to grow together. As you can see, what drives us forward, our city's mission and VPA's mission, really focusing on the values of the city's mission, which is excellence, being a huge focus there as far as accountability, innovation, inclusion, and empowerment. And then as far as our VPA mission, we look to inspire a more livable South Bend for all, connecting us to engaging experiences to one another. Again, being the heart and soul of the city, whether it be a program, a project, or event, we take a huge pride in ensuring that every experience, everything that we do is positive, and we want to continue to do that. Next slide, please. Here are some of our internal departmental drivers that we look to hone in on each and every day on a daily basis: social equity, neighborhood and economic impact, health and wellness, ecological stewardship. We feel as though that these drivers are helping us as a foundation for the work that we do, and we look to achieve those, and grateful to have these as a basis for us. Next slide, please. Here is a breakdown of our stats, infrastructure, and amenities. We have, speaking to programming, we have 6 programming facilities: Rum Village, Charles Black, Howard Park, MLK Dream Center, O'Brien, which is a partnership with the YMCA, who leads a lot of the fitness classes and events, our fitness classes and programs, in partnership with our team, and then also Pinhook. So these program facilities are where we are continually engaging by activity across our city. And then we also have our recreation attractions, which you can see, Boomer, which is our recreational mobile vehicle that we are very intentional in utilizing and ensuring that we get the max use of it. And we've had a kickoff of our Wrecking in the Park this year, which was very transformational for the youth and for the community, ensuring that we were having events that were engaging. They were all free events, and we had a number of them across over a dozen parks. And so very excited for that initiative and what it was able to bring for our kids and youth and families, as well as Howard Park Ice Trail. I know many of you have either been or heard about our ice skating in the winter months. A very exciting piece, Bayer Softball Complex, as well as Leaper Tennis, Potawatomi, and Kennedy Water Park. We have over 120 programs, across the department. And it seems as though that they continue to grow, which is a great thing, but wanting to ensure that the staff has everything they need, supply-wise and programmatically, to ensure that we continue to increase. Parks and trails, I felt that though this was a good one. We have over 56 parks, covering over 1,300 acres, featuring just about 13 miles of trails and for everyone to enjoy. So really emphasizing that connectivity piece for all to enjoy the assets that we have in our public spaces. Next slide, please. Here's our accomplishments, a very long list, so I will just pick out a few. But as you can see, our team is winning, and we're winning now. And I'm excited, ecstatic, and proud to stand up here and say that, as this list is only a microcosm of what the team has been able to accomplish over the last year and a half now. And so I really want to point out the John Harrison training. That has really been one where staff development has been a focal point, and we've been very excited to continue the leadership efforts and building up our team, departmental wide. And then also, we look at our Tree City USA and Growth Award received by the forestry team. This has been a consecutive award that we've been receiving, and we're looking forward to continuing to enhance our tree canopy program, which the goal is by 2050 to have over 100,000 trees planted here in our city. Moving into Fusion Fest. Exciting. Fusion Fest is happening again. We're so proud and honored to be able to do it for a second year in a row. The first year, last year, we had over 35,000 attendees. And so this year we're hoping to have more, of course, with the reimagination of Ethnic Festival, but Fusion Fest this year is going to be a treat. And so we hope to see all of you there. Moving into our Kids Play Free program in partnership with Indiana Golf. It's another one where we're looking to continue to diversify playership of golf and introducing the fundamentals of the game. And so we've had over 3,000 kids a part of that partnership and at Studebaker Golf Course, and we're looking forward to continue that as we continue to grow. And then lastly, wanting to hit on as far as just the Howard Park Ice Trail. Again, that winter fun, that winter excitement. We're seeing about 40,000 participants during that time frame of the ice rink being open. And so hoping Mother Nature continues to do well, and hopefully we can prolong it as long as we can. But we're so excited for the participants that are able to enjoy the ice rink. Next slide, please. Here are some of our completed projects that we've had over the years. Coal Line Trail Phase 2. As you can see, we're very excited. We were able to do that ribbon cutting. And again, going back to the over 13, close to 13 miles that we cover and that we maintain. It's very important that we continue to connect our city, not only downtown, but all areas of our neighborhood. And so we're so excited to all be out there. It was very cold. I remember vividly us shivering, us standing very closely to each other. But again, it was a success overall. River Lights relocation, again, a fun amenity that we have downtown for folks to see the river lights along the St. Joe River, and moving that over, to Sites Park, and looking forward to continuing that public art display. LaSalle Park improvements, again, that was another ribbon cutting, or another project where we had improvements along the park with upgraded features, a skate park, pavilion, and a redoing and revamping of some of the outdoor courts. And that has been phenomenal. The community has been out each and every day, each and every weekend, being able to take advantage of the new improvements there. And so glad we were able to add that improvement to that park on the west side of town. Next slide, please. Here are our projected revenues. As you can see, we are a bit down overall, but as you can see, property taxes continue to grow and increase, which is good to see. But happy to go into a little detail later in the presentation. Next slide, please. Overall, VPA is proposing a little over $32 million for our overall budget. As you can see, we have a few increases, a few decreases, and so I wanted to take some time to go line by line and account by account to be able to address some of the adjustments that have been made. As you can see, community initiatives at the top there, it has an increase, but that is due to the ARP dollars that was spent for our engagement and our outreach influencer teams. And so part-time dollars as well associated with that. But we felt as though that program was very successful, and it has been very successful. And when we want to continue, continue keeping a presence in our community, in our schools. And so that's why you see that increase there. Park administration, you see a decrease as there's been a reallocation, a shift as far as a position in park maintenance, which is the deputy director position, is being removed. And so that's accounting for the decrease there. Park maintenance, you'll see a slight decrease, in park maintenance, but that's due to a realigning or a restructuring of a new division that we'll get into later in the presentation. So most of the expenses are being cut down from park maintenance to help with the new division that I will get into, the new experience division that I'll get into later. Golf courses, we're seeing an uptick, of course, a major increase in golf, but that's due to capital expenses as far as capital equipment that we're seeing to ensure that our golf courses, our 3 golf courses between El Bell, Erskine, and Studebaker are maintained at a high level. We are just about at capacity with playership there, and we want to make sure that the greens and everything there is top notch and have a great experience for the golfers. So that uptick there is due to that, as well as we are hoping, we're seeing great revenue. We're seeing great revenue numbers, and so we hope the revenue will be able to. We're expecting that the revenue will be able to cover the gap. As far as the recreation team, we do have a decrease there. That is also due to a couple other realignments and readjustments of positions. And so that's why you'll see that's why you'll see that decrease there, but also wanting to hit on that, we are emphasizing a lot of staff training, safety training within the recreation division as we are continuing to increase our programmatic efforts. As it relates to the Potawatomi Zoo, that's pretty flat, slight increase, but that's due to the operating subsidy with the zoo at 350, and then 100,000 for capital improvements there at the Potawatomi Zoo. We've seen a great partnership there. We've seen a lot of folks be able to come to the zoo. Their attendance rates are growing exponentially, and so we hope that this investment continues to go. With the development and promotions division going down, you'll see an increase. That's due to historically we've never budgeted for Fusion Fest and other event types as concert series or other events that we've had in the previous, and so that we want to be able to do those things, and we're accounting for those in the budget this year in our proposal. Also including Sites Park that will be coming back online. The goal is this year and be able to do a concert series there. And then, of course, all of the marketing and promotional materials are included in that increase. Moving into park projects and capital, we're seeing a decrease there, but we are having conversations for non-civil dollars relating to our projects. Again, we've had over 120 projects completed since 2016, but we do hope that this 100,000 is able to be able to invest in some of our park areas and infrastructure. Moving into some others that are community programming. I think that is that is an increase for sure, given that we have the Martin Luther King Jr. Dream Center coming back online. That we want to ensure that the building has enough staff and has enough support. And then also additional part-time dollars are associated with that, along with supplies as well for the new building, but also our other community spaces. Moving into the visitor experience, this is a new division, and so this proposed, I will get into a little bit deeper in some other slides, but this is setting a higher expectation for our public spaces, really focusing on cleanliness and safety overall, and ensuring that every visit that folks take to our assets that we have here in our community is positive. And moving into the Morris, I think that's really that's another one where we'll see a slight increase, very slight, but did want to mention that we are planning for a dark period with the Morris project with the Racklin Murphy Encore Center expansion. So that really speaks to that slight increase and wanting to ensure that we have everything accounted for. And then lastly, Century Center, as all of the other departments are pretty much flat. Century Center, you do see a decrease given that we've lost quite a few events. But again, our partnership and with ASM Global, who's had a recent rebranding to Legends, but they are doing a phenomenal job at Century Center, and we want to continue to keep those events and things happening in that space. And we're also still studying how do we want to continue to find a niche for the Century Center and improve that downtown building. Next slide, please. So major changes. This is very important as we're moving positions. Quite a few salary adjustments, title changes, and new position, new FTEs. We're creating of a new visitor experience, consolidating staffs across divisions, and then also golf. Again, wanting to touch on that. Historically, we've been budget neutral, but with additional investment in the capital equipment to ensure the sustainability of our courses is important and vital. And then as far as development promotions, we did talk about the inclusion of Fusion Fest, various concerts, markets, events, while still supporting our partner organizations similar to Vibes Music Festival that happens at Howard Park and others, and then continuing to market for the entire department from a promotional standpoint with inclusivity and connectivity as a focus. And then lastly here, again, the increase in community programming with MLK Dream Center coming back online is really going to be a major change, as we have a new 40,000 square foot building on the west side of town that we need to ensure its success. Next slide, please. So here's our org structure. I believe in the power of five. I think it's a great number, great energy. And so as you can see here, we have the executive director at the top with the deputy director, along with the executive assistant. That is your admin wing that you're looking at. And then you go into the divisional leaders or the 5 divisions below, which is the community, the chief led by the chief community officer, general manager of venues, chief development officer, chief of park operations, and GM of golf. Next slide, please. So here, wanted to get a little bit deeper into where we are as an organization and our structure. As you can see, we've had a vacancy in the deputy director position for quite some time. And then also we have a vacancy in our GM of golf, but GM of golf, we will soon start to interview, and that position will be hired. Next slide, please. Our development division, which is really handles a lot of our philanthropic efforts and community relations, as you can see with the marketing division there in green, and then our events below. Both of those teams are filled, and both of those teams are doing a phenomenal job. I'd be remiss not to sing the praises of the marketing team for putting together this great org chart and putting together this great presentation from a visual standpoint. Valerie and then also Maurice Jr. Scott, both were taking the lead on this, but the marketing team is really in a great place, as well as our events team. We have a full team, and they are led by Amy Roush, who is the interim chief development officer at this point in time. We do have a vacancy with the director of development and special events, but we hope to hire that soon as well, as that will be a great support for the interim or for the chief development officer, as well as a vacancy with the project manager, who is very instrumental for our organization as far as our certifications, accreditations, keeping data, keeping track of those things. And so we hope to continue to hire that soon, as we've already started interviewing, and we're dwindling down to the last few candidates. Next slide, please. Venues, as you can see here, Last Parking, they are our operator for our parking garages. I did fail to mention in the budget summary and parking garages, we did add a 4th garage. We purchased one in July, or the city purchased one in July, and VPA and the venues division manages the oversight of those garages. And so Last Parking has done a phenomenal job in the enforcement, as well as the ticketing and strategy for parking. ASM Global, again, with the rebranding of Legends, they are very heavily our operator for the Century Center with catering, events, and sales, and then Navarre Morris catering at the Morris, but also the Palais. And then, of course, the Civic Board of Managers is the governing body for all of these entities that you see. So again, the Century Center, the Morris, and the Palais, and the garages are all under the venues division. Next slide, please. GM of golf, again, 3 golf courses, as I alluded to earlier. We do have a vacancy with our events coordinator that works very closely with the food and beverage director, but we do hope to hire that soon as well. But I did want to point out that our mechanic shop and our team and the golf team is doing a phenomenal job given the vacancy. They've taken on additional duties and tasks, and they are thriving. So I did want to mention that. Next slide, please. Chief of Park Operations, formerly known as Facility and Grounds. This is the straw that stirs the drink. As far as our public assets, our public spaces, that this team is out each and every day, led by our chief. And so I wanted to point this out. This is where forestry lies. This is where our graffiti removal lies, and a lot of our safe aspects as well. But they do a phenomenal job for our public spaces and facilities, and maintaining the beautification of our parks. Next slide, please. Our chief of community, this community division, yes, it has community programming, but it also has recreation as well. And then also the GVI initiative is a part of this division. And so as you can kind of see, GVI is managing our violence prevention managers and coordinators who are very present, who is very engaged in our community with our youth, with our different locations, and they're doing a phenomenal job across our city. Moving, next slide, please. Recreation, breaking that down a little bit more. This is where you have Rum Village, which is probably acreage-wise one of the top, if not the top, acreage parks that we have on the We have this is where ice and aquatics lie. This is where athletics lie, as well as Howard Park manager for a lot of programs that we're implementing now. We did have a birthday for Howard Park, and so we're excited for that park. That is the city's park, where everyone is welcome and centrally located, and so it's been a great asset to our community, as well as our Howard Park contract security, who's been phenomenal in keeping the peace and keeping instances of disruptions down over the last few years. Next slide, please. Community programming. Again, this is an instrumental department as it has those community centers, programs, and events. As you can see, we have Charles Black Center and leadership under there, Martin Luther King Center manager, the manager for Pinhook O'Brien Center on the south side, and then special events manager, as well as our youth employment, who our youth employment team has been doing a phenomenal job. Shakir and Eric, they have been tremendous since they've been onboarded. We've had over 90 plus youth employed. And between the ages of 14 and 18, they've worked over 5,000 hours, and then also wanting to also hit on an important point that of those kids that participated, there was 100% rate and participation in attendance throughout the program. And so very proud of their efforts and the leadership of the Director of Community Programming. Next slide, please. So here is the proposed, as we look to realign the department and to continue our success as a cohesive unit. Here would be removing the deputy position, as you can see from the current structure, keeping the executive and the executor in the admin wing. But then we would have aligning chiefs' salaries. As you can see, those are highlighted to the left, in the burgundy, and then also in the green. And then also a title change for our Chief Development and Marketing Officer. So originally our Chief Development Officer did not have marketing under their division, as it was spread across multiple divisions. And we felt as though it made more sense to have more unity and cohesion under one, to have both philanthropic efforts and marketing going hand in hand to ensure that we are attracting and making sure that we're retaining and then also capturing the hearts of our residents and visitors. And then lastly, our chief of, again, that Power 5, our chief of visitor experience. This department is new, and I'm going to get into it as we go into the presentation. Next slide, please. So overall, our personnel summary, as you can see, with VPA over 100 full-time employees and staff. And again, that doesn't include our part-time or seasonal positions, which that number would be elevated and 3% over across. And then also the Teamster Union salary and wages is a 9% increase. And so that that you'll see that as well. And that was a 4% annually, and then a 5% one-time adjustment for the Teamsters and the union. And then going into some of, again, some of the changes just for clarity's sake, removing again that deputy, that's what's going to be repurposing and adding this new chief of visitor experience for the visitor experience division, as well as increasing the chief of parks and community office to align with the other chiefs, as well as the director of development and special events aligning with the other directors. Again, that alignment piece is very important as we create good synergy across the department. And then some other higher than standard increases, as you can see: manager of special events, horticulturalist, executive assistant, program coordinator, admin assistant, and park maintenance, and then another program coordinator. And then we're adding, again, program coordinators at MOK, providing, about a $55,000 salary cap, and then reclassifying head custodians to group leaders for the MLK Dream Center, as well as title changes for program coordinators, recreational experiences, golf, and chief development officer, as shown in the proposed. But those would be moving to director of recreation, director of golf operation, and chief development and marketing officer. And then the last points here: relocating equity arts coordinator to our development and promotions division, as historically it was under the recreation budget line item, but felt as though that the titles and the duties of the equity arts lead falls more in line with the development and promotion aspects of our department. Some of the new FTEs, group leaders, coordinators, again, adding, yes, raising the higher than standard increase for a horticulturalist that's existing, but adding a new one to support for the new tree canopy program, and then also admin assistance for forestry for that same respect, and then the community programming, as again, we have a lot of programs that we administer, and we want to make sure we have enough support for those. Next slide, please. The new visitor experience division. This division sets the highest standards for excellence in cleanliness, safety, and visitor experience. And we want to be very intentional in that. And so over the years, we've had a few inconsistencies, and we've had some lapse of communication across the division, and we felt as though having more oversight and more synergy and cohesion under one division made more sense. And so with that, we feel as though between the custodians, between safety and security, but it's much more than that. This is about people being able to experience on a human level our spaces and leaving with a positive reaction when they visit our spaces. And so the rationale, again, as I kind of alluded to earlier, is just we had a few inconsistencies across divisions. And so we want to bring some formality and centralize our custodians, centralize our oversight of our buildings, our safety, and our services under one division. And we feel as though this would absolutely improve our quality of our assets, but also we would minimize operating costs without compromising any services that are currently happening in the downtown and in our and in our park department. Next slide, please. So here is the personnel for existing services for this new new division, but also adding this new division to the Martin Luther King Dream Center. So again, speaking to the deputy director, repurposed as that chief visitor experience, which that would be higher, and then adding 2 new FTEs for MLK group leader and MLK custodian. As again, we're in the thick of construction right now for the MLK project, and this is going to be a larger facility than we've had previously, 40,000 square feet, a lot of windows, an additional basketball court, an indoor track, so many different features, which I'll get into a little bit deeper in my presentation. But that's the rationale for those two new positions in cleanliness. And then 8 existing full-time staff are shifting from various departments, as you can see. And then the biggest piece here is insourcing block by block services. This is a contract that we've had historically in the amount of over $800,000. And so we feel as though by insourcing their services within our department, we'll have a higher rate of return service standard, and it would also be budget neutral, which we will get into deeper on those numbers. And then 4 additional new FTEs, as well as, or 6 new additional FTEs for part-time safety attendants, supervisors, and then job leaders, general labor, and then also part-time to park maintenance. Next slide, please. So here's a visual. I wanted to, again, that block by block contract to date is 824,000, a little bit over. Those are the downtown ambassadors, the West Side Main Streets program, the park ambassadors, patrols, and key holders. So locking facilities for us, gates. But the proposed here that we have would be reallocating those dollars from that contract in 25 to be able to insource those services to be able to remove some duplicate efforts in the same places that we already are, as well as creating efficiencies through our resources, and again, covering those new expenses that will be taking place. And then secondly here, for the division, that would be the total number there at the 229.5 mark there for park services, presence, patrols, key holders, and hospitality. We would take those on and be responsible for all the custodial safety and visitor service aspects in the downtown corridor, as well as our continued efforts in our spaces as well. Next slide, please. Building the dream. Again, this has been 50 years in the making. Last year was the 50th year anniversary. And as you can see, that's a rendering there to the right. But this project and this construction is moving at a rapid pace. And we're so excited for this because now we all get to make sure our dreams come true. And so a summary of the programming will be coming up shortly, but the Build the Dream recap, the proposed is relocating the community initiatives division to the MLK Dream Center. Again, as on the budget summary, you'll see that division has a $1.8 million budget proposal for 25, and those resources would be used for the new space, and they would be housed out of the new facility for support and programming. And then additionally, we'd be adding a program coordinator and 2 FTE custodians. Again, this is a large space and we want to make sure that it's clean and that people have a great experience when they visit. And then additionally, you can see there, we got about just over 450,000 in part-time staff at the MLK, but other community centers as well. And we want to ensure that we're being equitable in our resource allocation. Next slide, please. Here's a summary of our programming for the MLK Dream Center. Again, as you can see, from seniors all the way down to the youth, we have just about something for everyone. And, want to be also highlight, a lot of the clinics, the classes. We're going to have many more spaces and elevated spaces that we didn't have previously. And so these programs are going to be very instrumental to the growth of our community, to the growth of our kids, who especially which it'll be tailored towards everyone, but with a focus on teens and youth. As we know, they're the next generation of leaders in our community, and we want to make sure that they are educated, that they're equipped with the right resources, and then we make sure that we are empowering them in all that they do. Next slide, please. Here are some of the key goals and key highlights. Again, build social capital. This one is very important, and I stress this on a daily, if not a weekly basis, because this is our why. we create these relationships, we have these public spaces and these folks that are experiencing in them. And we want to make sure we're not only building relationships, but that we're maintaining them. And by doing so is ensuring that we're keeping all things in order and making sure that folks have a great time when they're coming in, not only for residents, but visitors as well. As we know, many folks are coming here to South Bend to enjoy all that we have. Again, increasing our programmatic efforts, CAPA reaccreditation, which is going to be happening in 2025. And again, that program manager or project manager that is vacant that we are interviewing and hoping to hire soon is going to be very instrumental in that process for us to get back to be CAPA accredited. Inclusivity and well-being are very important, as again, that's one of our drivers is health and wellness. And again, we have something for everyone. And we want to ensure that people understand that. We want to ensure that they know that we are all in this together and that we are one city, one people. Next, extending community hours. Again, we're building up all of these great spaces, and we want to ensure that it's available and accessible to the people and to the folks that are coming. And so with that, we want to be very intentional about increasing that availability, having those opportunities for folks to embrace and be a part of. Our capital projects are moving again, as I stated, over 120 projects and since 2017, and we have so many on the docket soon to come that we're very excited about, which I'll hit on shortly. Next, again, want to continue to develop a great skilled workforce. Again, the folks on our team are phenomenal. Again, as you see them here today, they've been very supportive, and the folks under them. We wouldn't be VPA, we wouldn't be who we are without the team that we have. And so, any opportunity that I can to be able to invest in their development, I'm willing to do that. Which is why you see more than a few budget adjustments and salary adjustments to ensure that it's equitable across the board, but also that we're providing the support that they deserve. Again, want to continue to increase our vehicles, our equipment, and staff to meet that public space need, as we have many assets to maintain and to take pride in. Again, removing invasive species and protecting our green spaces, being environmental stewards for our community. Again, we're doing that, and we do appreciate the EAC for their support and that committee for their suggestions on how to get better. Again, our strategic plan, which is from 2023 to 2027, we are in the second year of that plan and looking forward to continue to build it out and ensure that it aligns with where we're going. And then finalizing a first ever review of our facilities, ice and aquatics. I think it's very important to have assessments to ensure to know what we need to invest in and where we are today. Next slide, please. Going back to the projects, here are a few projects in construction and design. Again, that MLK Dream Center project planning to open in 2025. Sites Park coming back online this year. We're hoping that opens soon as well. That's going to be a great park right on the river there, and being able to have concert series, having people having that connectivity along the walk there is going to be tremendous. The Morris project, again, that addition is going to be phenomenal with the equity in the arts leading that charge and the new building and that new space for programming and building out our art infrastructure. Four Winds Field, that expansion is going to be tremendous. As we know, the baseball field has been great for family activity and youth engagement with the splash pad and all of the fun items there. But that second deck is going to be great because now more people can experience a baseball game. Walker Field, connectivity and restroom building remodel, that is in construction, and we're excited about that along Ewing to connect Walker Field Park and Rum Village. Is going to be truly amazing and dynamic for the community and for folks that attend Rum Village and Walker Field. And even for those who do not, it'll be a great opportunity as well to get over there. And then Charles Black parking lot VPA splash pads. Those are in construction, and we're looking forward to opening all of our splash pads here in the coming year of 2025, so that all can experience, especially when it's quite warm, like it's been the last few days here in our community. In design, Kennedy Park, Water Park, that's going to be a $15 million project, bringing a new water feature and new aquatic facility at Kennedy Park. It'll be quite the upgrade from where we are to date. And so we're very excited for that project, to start that design process and to get that into construction, and of course get community feedback on what they would like to see there, as that will be our only aquatic park, our only pool in our community. Leaper Park tennis facility, we're looking for improvements there, as that again is going to be a great project to help renovate some of the courts, but as well as upgrade the building there, and to ensure that we can bring in more tournaments, more national tournaments, and do more lessons and camps, as those have continued to uptick and increase over this year and over the last few years. Run Village Nature Center, we would love to be able to, again, to elevate that space. It's a great place for nature and getting outdoors, but also indoor. There are a lot of features there that we'd love to improve. Leaper Street Bridge, another repairing and piece there, where we want to make sure that connectivity is staying in line with our other trails, and so that people can connect from neighborhood to neighborhood, and downtown as well. Going into some of the last 2 points there, Byers Softball Complex, again, that was a $3 million state earmark fund, that are state earmark dollars that was presented to VPA. Excited for that investment, as we're being able to start that design and to be able to upgrade those fields and bring it back and elevate it up to a more dedicated space for national tournaments for softball. And then Potawatomi Park, those street renovations and upgrades are in conversation and in design, and we look forward to start those here soon in the near future, just for better traffic flow, as well as safety for the kids, as well as going back and forth between the park and Wall Street Kids Kingdom. And so that's going to be a great upgrade for the community. Next slide, please. With that, that concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation. I am going to come to the committee members and ask if they have any questions. It was a lot of information, I realize. Yes, Mr. Ross Teal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, thank you for the presentation. I mean, that's a lot of information. Your descriptions were very helpful. What jumps out at me is that it seems like that there are a number of upper and mid-level vacancies. Number one, is that normal? And can you speak to that? Give me some info on that.
Yes. So I would say we've had a few transitions as far as in leadership. And so I think with any new leadership, you'll have a few moves and you'll have a few folks that move on, but that's okay. Some have gone on to better opportunities, and some have stayed. And so I would say that I wouldn't say it's unusual or an outlier. But I will say that as far as where we are to date with our staffing, we're in a pretty good spot. And I feel as though that we're going to be able to hire those vacancies pretty quickly here.
Thank you.
Okay. Angela Smith, you have a question?
I have a couple questions for you. You briefly touched on, or it was highlighted in the presentation, energy savings. Can you talk a little bit about what that entails and maybe what you guys are looking to do additionally in the future?
Yes, so energy savings was aligning to, so for example, Howard Park, we have solar panels on that event building. And then also with the Morris project, we saved a lot, we saved a lot as well in lighting and HVAC improvements in the first additional phases. And so we want to continue to do that across the board to ensure that we are being efficient in those energy savings and sustainability.
And if I could, one more
Mhm,
question. One of your largest decreases in revenue is in donations. Is that because of lack of projects, or is that something that usually shows up mid-year and it's hard to budget for? How do you account for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say just because we're in mid-year and we're in the full swing of raising those funds, it'd be very difficult to add what we currently have, and we want to ensure that we are completing our funding campaigns completely.
thank you. Is there any other questions from anyone here? Ms. Ophelia Rogers?
Yes, I have some questions. Can you go back to the page where it's building the dream?
Yes.
Okay. No, building the dream. Yeah, there you go. So summary of programming, build the dream, recap. Uh, explain all of those down there to me.
So each bullet point.
Mhm.
Yes, so we're gonna be relocating the Community Initiative Division. Again, that's out of Fund 0011 on the budget summary, and led by our Chief Community Officer. But everyone under that division will be housed inside of the MLK Dream Center when it opens in 2025. And then we're gonna be adding a program coordinator to help facilitate the summary of programs that we have from seniors to youth. And then all of the new additional spaces that we have inside of the new Dream Center, as well as the custodial staff, adding two full-time custodians that would be dedicated to the Dream Center to ensure its cleanliness and safetiness throughout the building. And then also the additional part-time staff is a support at the community center, but as well as other community centers as well. So we'd be ensuring that that those part-time staff is able to help cover the full-time staff if they're not available, but wanting to make sure that we have enough support and resources for the Martin Luther King Dream Center.
So, as big as the Dream Center is going to be, do you think we have enough custodian staff in there?
I
Because
believe-
I'm looking at the fact that as big as the Dream Center is going to be, I look at Risha at Charles Black,
Yes.
and I'm thinking that she needs a custodian out there because she does a lot of cleaning out there. So, and that's not going to be as big as this. So, are we sure we got it in here for what we need?
Yes, and so that was depicted in the new visitor experience division with the pre-existing positions that we have, but also the additional positions will also be a part of the MLK Dream Center as well to ensure that we have enough custodians and we have enough staff that's supporting this brand new building.
Okay, so and when will these jobs be open and where will they be located at?
Well, the new FTEs will be contingent based on the budget vote. But we would hope in the first of the year they would be open.
I mean, are the jobs going to be online at what time? At what stage will the hiring starts? Or maybe I should say, when will you be able to put in an application?
I would say the first of the year, hopefully, again, it's contingent on the budget vote if
Okay,
it's approved.
okay, thank you.
And I see I have a couple of our committee members online. I believe, is it Councilmember Tomas Morgan was first and then Councilmember Lee? Oh, I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Chair.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
Ms.
ahead, go ahead. No problem,
And we also have Councilmember White.
no problem. I'm sorry, Chair, who would you like to go next? Do you want to go ahead and
You know,
with Councilwoman White? Go
Yeah, you
ahead,
know,
since
the
you're in
Councilmember.
person.
Morgan, I'm fine.
Nope, she's said, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mhm.
So last year, this time, some of the biggest, or one of the biggest changes was the move of GVI into the Parks Division. And so there were, if I recall, a lot of our conversation around GVI and what that transition would look like, any changes in that program. And then also related, but maybe separate. I'm not sure how that's developed, but just some of the programming around prevention. I can't recall what the names of some of those programs were, Jordan, but trying to deal with some of the disruptions that were happening at Howard Park and in some of the other parks. So one, could you just speak to how GVI is going, and if that continues to like work well within VPA division, and any highlights that you want to share there? And then separately, maybe address what, although this is probably related, addressing some of the security issues around the security programming at Howard Park and in the other parks, and how that's going in your assessment.
Absolutely. Those are great questions, Councilwoman Rachel Tomas Morgan. First, with the GVI update, we feel as though that partnership is continuing to go well as far as the alignment and the structure and the approach of GVI, and we will continue to support GVI in our efforts moving forward. As far as the safety and security aspects, in particular with Howard Park, those instances of disruptions and unsupervised youth, we feel as though those are trickling down and they're moving in the right direction. As in years past, we were having a lot more frequent instances, but this year we're having quite less, and I can say that's attributed to, again, the violence prevention coordinators, the SOIs, the engagement teams, as well as our security contractor. But I also be remiss not to say that our law enforcement has also been present and been very supportive with their SROs and just with the rounding of not only Howard Park, but all of our parks across citywide. And so I would say that the safety and security piece is moving in the right direction. And as well as with the new visitor experience, those will be aspects where we'll be able to restructure, again, some of those savings from the block by block services to be more intentional and to continue to enhance our safety and security along with our cleanliness with the custodians.
Okay. Thanks so much, Jordan. I appreciate kind of that high level overview. Could you just dig a little deeper into GVI and what are some of the, I don't know, stats that you could share with us, or highlights or major accomplishments or developments that you've seen?
Well, I don't have any stats with me, but I'd be happy to follow up and share those insights with you in greater detail.
Okay, that would be great. It may be, I don't know if that's in your annual report. If so, I might have missed that, or maybe it's in my inbox somewhere and haven't been able to review it. Is that kind of information in the annual report?
As far as GVI, so our partnership with GVI is certainly has been positive, and again, happy to follow up and with an email and just with further information, as I don't have that information on me currently. My apologies.
Okay, great. And then could you just resend the 2023 annual report for the department or division?
Yes, I can absolutely do that.
Great. Thanks so much.
And I'm going to go to Councilmember White, and then I'm going to go to Councilmember Lee.
Okay.
Sorry
Thank you,
about the
Chair.
mix-up.
Okay, I appreciate it. First, I would like to thank all of the staff for Vineyards Parks and Arts for all the work. It's a very major comprehensive unit, and it's so critical to the health and the welfare of our citizens. So I just want to thank each and every one of you. I'm very pleased with the report that you have presented. It's very clear. I like how it's formatted. And also, when looking at the various changes or planning for 2025, it appears that you're using positions that may not be filled, but also rethinking and how best to utilize not only the skills and the talents of the staff, but also the monies to use that more effectively. So I really appreciate that. I don't have a lot of questions. The layout is very clear. And also, I think that it will be helpful based on Councilwoman Thomas Morgan comments, the clarity of the GVI and who actually is responsible for that, and also the making sure that the data is clearly stated. Because I remember at our most recent meeting that we had, that question came up for one of our citizens too. So I think having that clarity and making sure that the information is available will be very helpful.
Yes, I will
Mhm.
have our GVI intervention project manager, Malcolm Coates, who's in the audience.
Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't see you back there. Come up and just kind of give an overview, and he might be able to answer some of the questions for
Great.
you,
Mhm.
Councilwoman White and Rachel Thomas
Mhm.
Morgan.
Thank you.
Um, I'm not exactly sure what numbers you're looking for.
Name and address for the record, please.
I'm sorry.
Your name and address for the record,
Oh,
please.
Malcolm
Thank you.
Coates, 226 South Taylor Street, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you so much.
What data you might be looking for? I guess the one major positive about the GBI initiative is that we are still below our numbers. Our shooting numbers are still trending lower than the previous year. And that's also from the previous year to that as well. So we've seen a downward trend in the numbers. So those are available. Like Jordan, I don't happen to have them with me, but I have them in my email and I can send that or have Jordan send that out to you so you can see the numbers, like I said, year to year about the shootings. Other data that we look for, we're working on trying to gather like recidivism rate. So that's how many GMI or GVI gang related members were referred services, who accepted, and what happened after that. But that's kind of an extensive research project. So that's another bit of data. But the main data that we generally look for, again, is that the shootings are going down because that's the whole point of the initiative.
Thank you so much. And if you could send that to all the council members and to Clerk Torado, because I think that's information that everybody's going to want to digest and look at.
Chair, could I just add a clarification about some data that I'd be interested in looking at? Included in there.
Sure,
I
go ahead.
think to what extent you're tracking engagement numbers, and like, or even, even to explain what that looks like in this, point in time in the program's development, I think would be helpful. It's, shootings, I think it's, I think it's important for us to be able to measure success. And so that's where, the numbers are important. I know it's easier said than done to collect that kind of information and data if you haven't, if you're trying to build it. But, I do think that's important. Maybe engagement would help us get a sense of that. Some of the engagement data, shootings are kind of numbers that, we hear in general, and it's hard to make a direct, there are lots of things that play into the number of shootings that go down, all of it, PD, the good work that you all do, certainly. But, to draw that causal effect is difficult.
Thank you. I am going to move on to Councilmember Lee. Thank you so much for waiting.
Thank you. I'll always take a back seat to Miss White. She will always
outta
be.
here.
Thank you for the presentation, Jordan. I first of all want to say congratulations on the Morris receiving an award on its HVAC, all of that equipment and the changes that they made at the Morris. They were actually given an award for it. So those are, I never would thought that I would be excited about, the HVAC system getting an award, but those are things that we definitely need to tout. And also, with Fusion Fest coming up in a few weeks, and the success of last year, and that bringing the community together. So there's a lot of great things that are happening within venues, parks, and arts that we definitely would love to hear more of these accomplishments. Even with the GVI, there's been a 35% decrease in shootings in our city, and so those are very much important numbers and data that needs to be released to the community so that people know that the strategies that have been put in place are working. Would like to see that the chart where with community initiatives, I saw that all of the different other programs that were listed, part of that, and I didn't see the SAVE team listed on that group of programs that are working along with GVI. So those are things that we definitely want to see, because that's been an investment from the city for several years. It's a strong approach with the police community and with the outreach services. And those are things that are very important to the community. We just would like to see more of that. So great presentation. Very excited about the energy that's moving, and we're very excited about the water park, aquatic center, and all of that. And then, as Councilwoman Ophelia Gooden Rogers said, with a 40,000 square foot facility, we want to make sure that we got enough maintenance people that are handling not only the Dream Center, but the Charles Black Center, and then even the restrooms throughout various parks across the city. So those are just my statements, not many questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Pastor Lee. Well, I'll say Pastor Lee, Councilmember Lee. Sherry, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have one question. When the YMCA, separated from O'Brien Center, and I'm concerned about that. Could you expound upon that? What is left at the O'Brien Center, for the citizens all over, and of course, in the 5th District? What is left there for to do, and what are the plans for it?
Yeah, so just for clarity's sake, the YMCA is still at the O'Brien Center.
Okay.
They did add the additional downtown location for folks to have another option. And so we are actually still in renegotiation of that partnership. And ideally, we would hope that it would be a multi-year partnership to ensure that they continue to focus on the fitness components, as well as partnering us with on the programming and the youth development that happens, and also all of the programs that we do as a department. So that partnership, again, was a 3-year partnership from 2020 to 2023. We're still in negotiation on a new MOU, and hoping to finalize that. But they are still currently at the O'Brien Center and downtown, so they are at both locations.
Let me know when those is finalized. And thank you for the very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, and then before I move to the public hearing portion, I just had a couple questions myself, if I may. Thank you. Um, we talked a lot about Rum Village, Walker Field, it's going to be redone, expansion, and the reorganization that you have here. And I noticed a change here for Gary Harrington. And I didn't see on here, but I've skimmed it very quickly as far as like a naturalist, because that is a huge park. I'm not sure if that's the largest park in the city, but I would probably venture to say it is. So what does the staffing look like once they get these restrooms done and they revisualize Walker Field and that connectivity to Rum Village Park? I want to make sure that, that there's enough staff there to maintain that. It is a gem in the west side there.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are relocating Gary's position into the recreation department, as we feel as though that's a more natural fit with the outdoors and experiencing nature. But also adding the horticulturalists, specifically
that's called.
for Rum Village as well. We'll have a focus there. And then we still do have a horticulturalist on staff existing, Mary Wojcik, who does a phenomenal job. And so she'll have additional support as it relates to Rum Village.
So on staff there, you'll have, Gary will remain there, and then you have the horticulturalist. You don't have another naturalist. I don't know if that's kind of two different things, but so all of that area will still only have one person to oversee it all directly, I
Yeah.
guess is my question. Because
Yeah,
that's a
so-
big property.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have our director of recreation come up, Macy Hannah,
Thank
to
you.
explain just
Hi, Macy Hannah, Director of Recreation. My office is at 219 South St. Louis. I just newly took on Rum Village as a part of the Recreational Experiences Division and encompassed Gary. We most recently hired a new part-time naturalist. Her name is Genevieve. She has a background in biology and is going to be a great asset to the team there. So she, again, is part-time at this time. And then Gary is our full-time staff member, and again, looking to hire that potential horticulturalist.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Answer my question. And my last question is on the block by block contract, where you're going to be taking up those. And that looks like it's a savings of 7, maybe 1.5 million, something approximately. So you're looking to absorb, when you talk about patrols under park services, is that what I'm not sure what you mean by the patrols. You're not talking about the role that GBI. What do you mean the patrols?
So I'm gonna have our chief of park operations.
Okay.
He put together this proposal, and I think he would be able to really explain that one slide and visual. That maybe we bring that back up as well, so that we all can follow.
Thank you so much.
John Martinez with offices at 1020 High Street, City of South Bend, 46613. I believe it's it's large, that one.
That's
I
it.
believe. So what we looked at right now, and I had heard a council person mention this previously. We often every year we have to look at what we're able to accomplish with the resources we have and how can we be better to position to use those resources. Our industry is ever changing. The public demand's ever changing, the public use is ever changing. So we need to change as well. One of the things that we had taken a look at was the expense around the block by block contract, currently at 824,000 and change. And we decided we could make some adjustments to the way those services are deployed. So basically, we're looking at reallocating the dollars into insourcing through 7 part-time employees, 2 full-time Teamster employees to already augment our downtown program. Basically, what we're seeing is we've got 2 separate groups doing the same thing in the same spaces. We literally pass each other with the same equipment. That's not an efficient use of taxpayer funds. There's no synergies, and there's no efficiencies in that current structure. So we were looking at insourcing them at a cost of 429 and change, which remains budget neutral because the savings do come from the block by block program. We'd be looking at augmenting that with the current downtown group that already exists. They oversee the East Race, Howard Park, the downtown plaza area, the Morris Green, et cetera, East Bank Trail. When we talk about patrols, we see that living in the visitor experience division. And what we mean by patrols is presence. So walking along Sites Park at 1 a.m., walking along at Howard Park during a major event, redeploying some additional staff there. We have two superintendent threes in that group that we are funding with the savings from the block by block expense. So that would bring that team to a total of, if the budget is passed, that would bring that team to underneath visitor experience to have 3 potentially weekend and night full-time supervisors, as well as additional part-time staff to be instructed and deployed as well. So that really gives flexibility. What we found is we weren't built from an operational sense to be around when our parks were the busiest. And that's why it made sense to remove it out of the maintenance division. Maintenance is built to get it done before people get there. Well, the visitor experience division needs to be there when people are on site, both from a cleanliness and from a presence standpoint and safety. So we haven't fully determined how we would handle the deployment. However, we would be very flexible. We need to remain flexible to move park staff presence in areas that need it. So as Jordan mentioned earlier, Martin Luther King, Rum Village, these other destination areas, they would likely see a very heavy presence of our staff members. That group, they would maybe interface just by being in proximity with, say, GVI, but those programs would not be affiliated with each other or intersect other than that.
So you think this is a great move then for this reallocation?
I do.
what
I
I'm
do
hearing.
think it's a very good use of taxpayer funds. We need to continue to evolve, as I mentioned previously. And what we're seeing now in our users isn't what the same behavior we saw 5 years ago. So we need to make sure we're engaging our residents, we're giving them plenty of activities to do in their public spaces, and encourage that they always feel welcome in them.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, I think that has exhausted everyone. Oh, Councilmember White.
Sorry, I want to get permission from Councilwoman Simpson. This is a question that historically we've always asked at the end of especially a parks request,
Yes.
a presentation. And that is, are there any plans to look at having a park in the 5th district? And so, I know that's long range, so let's give that some thought.
Waiting. Thank you.
Thought this,
Councilman.
okay.
I talked to him privately about it, but that's good to put it out there.
Yes.
That's one of my famous questions at the end, okay?
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
so much.
Mhm.
So we're going to go ahead and open up to the public hearing process. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor or just speak generally in reference to the presentation that's been before us? I would say in favor or against. I don't see anyone
Mhm.
present in the chamber.
Yes.
Clerk
Yes.
Toronto, I believe you have one online.
I do not see anyone in the chambers, but we do have Sue Kesem online.
Okay, Sue, if you could please state your name and address just for the record. I know you put it in the chat, but just for the record, please.
Sue Kesem, 4022 Kennedy Drive. I'll give some really fast things I'd like feedback on. I never get feedback, so it'd be great. I'll just list them real quickly. What's being done to reduce invasive plants in the parks? A focus on senior activities and equipment. There's like playground equipment set up for seniors. I'd like to see some of that. About a third of our population is seniors, so it is a significant demographic. I had brought up having magnetic rollers pick up needles, particularly in Keller Park, it seems to be an issue. I noted that we have Wi-Fi in all our parks. That was part of COVID and the school initiatives. I think because we have Wi-Fi in all the parks, we could have night cameras to record and provide additional security in the parks. I'd like to see a pool at O'Brien. I know I say that every year, but I would love to see a pool at O'Brien. A lot of seniors like that. We need a low-cost swimming venue, and that would be a good place for it. Once again, I'm bringing up the conservatory is a very special and unique venue. A lot of people like having events there. Again, I brought this up at the park board. There's already been a redesign done by KIL Architects. Whole beautiful design. We just need to like dust off the mothballs. I'd like to see it presented to the public and get the conservatory renovation back on track. Just a little side note, gardening is the #1 hobby in the United States. So it's not minor. People do enjoy plants. They enjoy unique plants. And it could be a draw if it had like special orchids and unique plants in it. So I'd like to see that revisited. As for the GVI metrics, I had sent Mr. Coates the spreadsheet on how to evaluate GVI activities. I sent that when he first started. And it used to be that Isaac Hunt, I sent this to the council and the police chief. Isaac Hunt would give specific metrics. So in my most recent email to the council and the police chief, you'll see that in there as well. I think it's important to be accountable to what's being done in the community with GVI, and Isaac was very good about doing those metrics, and I'd like to see that happen again. And so those are some of my overview things. I would like someone to get back to me. That rarely happens. So that would be great. Perhaps Mr. Coates could look in his email and bring up those metrics. That would be great too, because GVI is obviously very important, and not just from shooting, but I think just moving people away from the gang culture. That's really important. There's like 25 gangs in South Bend, and whether they're shooting each other or not, it's still, we need to improve the overall society. And so I think that's really important. So that's just some of my concerns. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts to a park, and you guys do a great job. I enjoy the parks. And I looked, there's only one piece of land available in the 5th District owned by the city. It's on Springbrook Drive. It's at the back end of John Marshall's school soccer and baseball field. So there's not much land in the 5th District to put a park on, but I'd take a pool at O'Brien. I'd love that. So that would be wonderful too. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you'll get back with me on some of the ideas. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, and I know those are all captured in the in the minutes that will be produced here, so you don't, unless there's something you want to try, and that was a lot. And I think some of it will be sent to you. Clerk Toronto will make sure she gets those questions to you. Okay, is there anybody else wishing to speak?
I
Okay.
do not see anyone else wishing to speak.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Come back to the council members. Does anybody have any statements or questions? I would like to say you did a fabulous job this year. You and your staff did a great job. Kudos to you. And at this time, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you.